In this video, I'm going to show you how to move from using environment variables to using feature flags. So currently, our application uses an environment variable called withCows. And if withCows is set to yes, we translate that to a Boolean value. And if the Boolean is true, we use the new feature that we're introducing to print out moo using cowsay, which looks nice. And if not, we use the existing functionality, which is just to print out a nice boring string that says hello world. So let's see that in action. We'll set our withCows to no, and we will start our web server. Loading the page, we see the nice boring hello world string. Now if we stop our web server and set withCows to be true or yes, restart the web server and refresh the page, and we see our nice cowsay moo. So, of course, this works, but there are drawbacks. Number one, I had to restart the web server to redeploy my changes. That means downtime. Number two, this is very coarse-grained control. Either everyone gets the old version or everyone gets the new version. So let's see how feature flags with OpenFeature can potentially help this situation. The first thing we'll need is a feature flag backend. There are many open source and commercial vendors. In this demo, I'll be using an open source tool called FlagD, but of course you can use whatever paid for vendor or open source solution that you like. FlagD expects us to store flags in a particular format, in this case JSON. You can see we have a flag called withCows. It is enabled, and there are two possible variants, on or off, and the default variant, just to be safe, is off. What that means to our application is that by default, we will print the safe known string. So now let's start FlagD to read those feature flags. FlagD is now running on localhost on port 8013. FlagD makes an API available, so we can test that FlagD is running correctly just by issuing a post request. We have a response from FlagD, which proves that FlagD is running successfully. Now, how do we integrate FlagD to our application with OpenFeature? First, we import the OpenFeature JavaScript SDK. Next, we import the FlagD provider. Notice we've commented out the environment variable. We're no longer using that environment variable. Now we have to tell OpenFeature where FlagD lives. In this case, it's on localhost on port 8013. And now we get to configure OpenFeature. So the first thing we do is get a client. Then we set FlagD to be the provider. This is one of the reasons that OpenFeature is so flexible, because if you change your provider, it is only these two lines of code that changes. So if you move from an open source provider to a vendor, you only need to change two lines in your code base. Now to actually retrieve the flag values, we ask OpenFeature to please get me a Boolean value for the withCows flag, and we provide it a safe default just in case FlagD is unavailable or down for whatever reason. And that's it. The rest of the code is exactly the same. So let's run this new version and see what we can do now. Again, our web server is running, and because the default was off, we get the nice normal string. However, now, while the server is still running, I can adjust the feature flag definition, which FlagD will dynamically reload. I refresh the page, and now without a restart, I've got my new functionality. What does this mean? Well, you can change functionality at runtime without a redeployment. And also, if something goes wrong with the new version, it's very, very quick to roll back, and without a restart, you've rolled back to the old functionality. Okay, so we've got the no downtime deployment figured out, but how do we be a bit more granular in the feature rollout? So I've got a new version of the application here. Now I'm deciding that I want to use the type of browser that a user is using our website with to target those features. Now that could be anything. You could have targeted to a particular set of user accounts or user IDs, but I'm choosing the user agent. So we've got the same application. The only difference now is that I'm grabbing the user agent from the header and I'm passing that via OpenFeature's context field to the backend system. Now, again, if that's an open source backend or a vendor, it doesn't matter. In my case, I'm passing that to FlagD, and it's up to FlagD to actually do something useful with that user agent data. So how do we reconfigure FlagD to make use of this new user agent that we're passing through? Remember, this is our flag definition at the moment, but we can extend that to something like this. We've added a targeting rule that says if this reference to user agent evaluates to true, the variant that is returned, the flag that is returned, is the on flag. So in other words, we will be using the cowsay module. So what is user agent eval? Well, that's defined down here. And basically we're saying, look for an incoming field called user agent. Remember, we're passing that from the front end. And if you see the word Chrome in there, then that whole thing evaluates to true. And of course, the cowsay is on. Now I'm going to curl to get the flag value, and I'm going to pass the user agent as ... Safari ... and this should return off. Then I'll do the same for Chrome, and notice it returns the variant on, which proves the backend FlagD is actually working. So now let's start our web application and see this for real. I'm in Safari, and you can see I get my normal plain text version of the website, but in Chrome, I get cowsay hello world. So I can control that behavior from outside of my application at runtime. I can actually progressively roll out, and more importantly, perhaps, if something goes wrong with the new feature, I can very quickly roll back without a redeployment. I hope you found this useful. Remember that OpenFeature lives at openfeature.dev and on GitHub. It is a CNCF sandbox project, so come join the community and get involved. Thank you very much for watching.